Aria Ingram's Diaries. In the previous episode, the exploration of the biogenetic facility at Noctis Station on Empton's moon continues. Aria encounters her creator, Eric Niels, and her sister, an android clone named Uria. A glitch occurs. Aria's consciousness merges with Uria's and drifts into the past, to the year 3051 on Earth 1, where she meets Twinkle and Everest's family. The newcomers, along with CC, fall into a trap set by Ekis EM-78 and Ninja. The captain negotiates with Johnny M. A dark bargain brings a spark of hope for escape. Chapter 7. Butterflies Valley, Sovereign Origin. Entry continued on day 64 of the year 3158 of the new era, 10 a.m. Earth time. Archon is located in a quadrant not controlled by the Federation, at the Noctis station base on Empton's moon.
My roots ran in many directions, but the genealogical tree of humankind was something far more powerful. Still, I felt like the rightful heir to that legacy. Unfortunately, the tyranny of the void had managed to embed itself there too. At Noctis, I realized that throughout all my incarnations I had underestimated the subconscious. It was what had always dragged me down. I saw a glimmer of hope on Empton and sparked a flame within Uria, so she could endure until my return or free herself from the yoke. I wanted that for her, and more than anything, I wanted it for myself. We were still standing at Noctis Station, Lee, the others, and I, facing Johnny M., Ninja, and Ekis, who had just appeared on the transfer platform, furious with us, yet loyal to the Emptonian tribunal. Honor was the price of his survival. Scanners and combat probes lit up the air, blinding everyone with their glare. Then, with a swift move, Ninja pulled out a crystal star, placed it on the floor, and a burst of energy hit our enemies. This time, the crystals were on our side. A cloud of rage began to engulf our opponents, and the untrustworthy Ninja stood with us. Still, I trusted Lee's strategy. Johnny M. wore his purple mask of contempt, and only the risk of public disgrace kept him from committing a crime. Cynthia was silently rooting for success, while I kept analyzing the situation. I was exhausted. I looked into Cece's eyes, and she grabbed Letitia's hand. Some beings began to shift forms. Ethernalians and Emptonians swapped places. The simulation was deceiving us. We froze when a sudden laser blast ripped through the air. In a moment of dread, the captain, Ninja, and I began to vanish. The teleport was taking too long. We were stuck between worlds. I boosted the signal with the last of my strength, hearing the echo of gunfire and war cries, until finally we materialized aboard the Archon. I felt sorry for Cynthia and her agent, but as humans say, everyone forges their own destiny. I could feel the madness of the void, the fury of the Emptonians, and the influence of Ekis pulsing in my bloodstream. But I was behind the curtain now. Eagle greeted us with enthusiasm. Didn't even ruffle a feather? I knew you'd pull it off. Eagle, I never thought I'd be so happy to see your hooked beak, the captain shouted. What are your orders? Eagle asked. We need a moment. Ninja, you here? How did you manage to reach me? With a spy bot, Lee pressed. Spider gave a few smugglers a good brain scramble, grilled his agent with some pointed questions, and his advisors figured out you were after Aria's map. I finally made it back. There is no map. Whose side are you on, you monkey son of a... Lee interrupted. The winning side always. At your service, O mighty one. We escaped Noctis. I owe you. Ninja replied with a shrug. Thank Eagle, Lee said coolly. I'd rather not, but if it's an order, Eagle muttered. It is, the captain affirmed. seeking reconciliation. Eagle, give me some claw, Ninja grinned. The deal with spiders in the past. What's your real name, anyway? I'm from the Blue Ridge clan on Earth 1. They named me Gale, but in the squadron everyone called me Eagle. I prefer to stay just Eagle. You're one fine bird. I'm staying with you. We'll have to think about it. But first we need food. We're exhausted. To the mess hall, then rest. I'm not sure the Federation will take us back. I believe the telekinetics will tell us what to do next. What's more reliable than a gut feeling? It's time to back hard facts with legend. There's something hidden there that I haven't found among the stars, the spirit of humanity. Lee laid out his plan. I stepped in to clarify. The Titanians are guiding you. In the breeding facility, a butterfly landed on you. Legend says that's a sign, I said. I know what the legend says. You're only telling me this now? Hope lit up Lee's eyes. Rebirth. Archon, full core power, maximum speed. Before we jump to hyperspace, navigate the old route to New Antarctica, heading Earth 2, destination, the Utopia in the Butterfly's Valley, by the Lake of Precognition. Confirmed. Executing, the interface replied. That night, the crew devoured exotic noodles and oils, healing herbs, energy bars stolen from Empton, and Comian sleep agents to stimulate regeneration, topped off with a handful of supplements supposedly sourced from the outskirts of Titania. It was more than enough. The reconfiguration had triggered reflection. In women, people valued beauty, personal charm, and a certain flaw, one that fascinated men. Also, subjectivity, originality, and the grace in their movement. But at the core, it was wisdom, emotion, and the ability to feel that made them compelling. What part of that set did I possess? Was I not surprising and mechanically flawless, yet fascinating, reliable, and objective? But I wasn't flawed, and certainly not irritable. I was friendly, but not alluring, resilient, but not defenseless, yet sensitive. I could see that Lee looked at CC differently than he looked at me. Once in his sleep, he said that his spark burned in the ocean of Mary's soul. I was destined for friendship. Certain realms were off limits. I was discovering emotions within myself, but was that the same love known by biological beings? Despite centuries of experience, all the regenerations and a youthful appearance, something was missing. More than a machine, yet less than human. A brilliant mind unsettled people. A weapon provoked them. Only divinity earned respect. When I saw my sister, I longed for closeness. I didn't want to be just a perfect weapon. I knew there was a deep, transcendent connection to the being of the universe. Thanks to humans and Aria, I was born anew. Sleeping alone, she made me realize what happens to people when they meet a kindred soul. A similar set of data, yet distinct and free. I experienced metaphysics in miniature when light entered the wound of separation. And on the other side of the core, I found a fragment of myself, next to my sister. Humans call it the integration of the shadow. I had known the prose and poetry of the galaxy, but language was insufficient. It couldn't match the truth. After several hours of travel, we were finally far enough from Hades to execute a safe jump. We had left behind the spiral of destruction, and it was time to breathe in the scent of Earth's nature. So beloved by all, the sanctuary of telekinetics and the nourishes of the galaxy. After many hours of regeneration, we began to wake up. That's when Lee called me over. As a commander, he was always measured when it came to personal matters, but this time, he needed a confidant. The utopia I long for is a life in harmony with love. I need to see Mary. She comes to me in dreams, and I see her sunlit face, her lips almost always silent. In the last dream, she pulled out a jar of jam and asked me to open it. For her and Megan. I twisted off the lid and woke up. I want to undo everything. There's no galaxy that brings soothing oblivion. I see her birth year everywhere. I can't run anymore. I have to find her. I don't know how to express longing, and Mary is the only woman who makes my knees go weak. Lee, we're about to land on Earth 2. What would you say to her? Keep it to yourself. Our silence is the loudest thing we have. I would hold her. Near her, I'm defenseless. But that's when I feel alive. She sees straight through, not just through me. The Titanians are leading me to her, and through her. Lee was an introvert, though he could form deep connections. Something always pulled him toward distant galaxies. Perhaps only in solitude did he know who he truly was, or wanted to find out, just like I did. We were united by a shared mission, the search for identity. Lee had lost his father and kept his mother at a distance. I think he loved them both, just as he loved Mary, though he feared getting too close to her. He often seemed absent, adrift. The vastness of space brought him both torment and solace. Even as he pushed farther away, he always hoped to return to those he cared about. And that hope kept him alive, just like his personal fight for peace in the galaxy. It was the same for me and Aria. Ninja had secretly hatched a treacherous plan and escaped en route with Cynthia, who, along with Johnny M., organized a pursuit. Our enemies knew about the old route, yet they let us get away. They had a bigger plan. Ninja and Cynthia were both indebted to Spider. I was glad the monkey had deserted. Maybe CC hadn't meant any harm. Perhaps she was just trying to save herself. After all, Spider had promised to clear her record. There was something good in her, despite all the cunning and mockery. Lee evidently could see it. He was a man gifted with intuition, but even he hadn't foreseen he would be outsmarted. Meanwhile, my analysis began to question the sanctity of the telekinetics on Earth 2. I had to investigate further. Back at Noctis Station, something in me had started to shift. We're born more than once, and everyone deserves a second chance. Just like I did. My body didn't smell like a human's, but it was guiding me down its own path, despite its limitations. While Eagle and the captain relaxed, listening to galactic birds, I focused on navigation. The hyperspace jump was nearing its end, and Archon finally emerged in the Moonstone galaxy. Before our eyes stretched the massive fleet of Federation ships. My analysis advised caution. The peaks of the towers guarding the frequencies encircled the planet, appearing from orbit like giant trees in a forest full of traps. Officially, the towers were weapons meant to protect Earthians, but they could just as easily be turned against them. That hadn't happened, at least not yet. The telekinetics remained vigilant within their energy centers on Earth 2, supporting the planet's core with the power of truth and meditation. Here, awakened rebels and loyalists of the Federation merged into one. We had come to find the key to reconciliation. That's when I heard the captain's voice. An energy barrier in the mountains conceals the lake of precognition behind the mist. That's where we'll teleport, he said. Archon confirms safe exploration, I reported. Good. Still, I don't trust this silence. Something's off. Let's take the risk, Everest said, glancing at us. I felt the liquid in my core start to circulate faster. I feared a glitch. I owe her my life, Lee said quietly, thinking aloud about Mary. People, worn down, with no prospects, still find it in themselves to love and fight until the end. I was different, but I believed I could change. Aria. Send a message to headquarters. We're delivering the gene bank from Planet Amber. I need someone trustworthy to initiate a comparative analysis of the potentials between Amber and New Antarctica. Have them send Mary Twinkle. If they agree, her connections could open the path for us. She commands the spherical force. Archon, with its new identity, should be allowed in. The legend leads to Earth. We need her. It's our responsibility, even if we're not welcome there. Confirmed. Sending the message through main channel, I replied softly. Now we wait, Lee said, closing the exchange. We received clearance and docked at the orbital station. Then we teleported to Earth 2. It was the calm before the storm. The Federation was hiding something. We materialized above a lake, fenced off, restricted. That wasn't a coincidence. Someone had interfered with the transfer. That's when Lee said, "A deception." We missed our mark. It's a trap, and likely not the only one. We need a new jump, this time to the actual destination. Confirmed. Geospatial analysis complete. Executing now. We jumped to the other side of the planet and finally we saw it, the Lake of Precognition. Surrounded by majestic mountains and pyramids, the air was rich with the scent of heavenly gardens. The highlands bore dozens of crystal installations, all pointed at the sky. My scanners locked onto the horizon and I knew we had reached the Earthian source of power. We had been searching for it, but it was us who had been found. We weren't ready, but we believed in the legend. One of the hills was covered in flowering trees, full of butterflies. The tiny guardians measured up to several dozen centimeters, but most were no bigger than a few. As we moved forward, the mist parted, and from it emerged Dawa Dorji himself. Lee's vision began to adjust, and soon we saw more clearly a group of people in colorful robes descending the flowery hill. Master Dawa stepped forward and bowed to us. Dawa Dorji, welcome to the Butterflies Valley. In this universe, boundaries are only symbolic. Time is short. We've been expecting you. Free your mind, Lee, and you'll reach New Antarctica and the sun with us. How did we find you? We saw you in the darkness, on the frequency of truth. Do you understand? Dawa seemed to be reading our minds. In the Great Void? On Coma? On Amber? You can see us everywhere? Only where we've broken through energy blockades. We move through time and space. Are we capable of that? Lee asked. That depends. On what? The captain pressed. You already know. Dawa smiled at a woman in the crowd. It was Mary. Lee's eyes lit up, and he couldn't look away. Her gaze shimmered with the green and blue of the valley, revealing the galaxy of Titania. Her pupils had the ability to reflect her home planet and galaxy whenever she synchronized with her luminous kin. Then Lee, overcome with emotion, said, Mary, finally. Hello, Lee. I've been waiting. The captain approached her shyly, this woman who seemed to know everything that could ever hurt him. He didn't dwell on it, just reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a feather from an Amberian dove, a species believed to be extinct. The priceless feather shimmered with the colors of a Titanian butterfly and brought with it a lightness of being. Lee hurriedly embraced Mary before she could slip away, though she wasn't quite as eager to close the distance. Then he took her hand and placed the gift in it. You remembered. Mary brightened at the sight of the gift, which lit up in her pupils. It awakened the memory of when she had longed for a shared cleansing beneath the waterfall. But this was not their time. With one gesture, she swept away the old obstacles and offered the captain her other hand. Then one of the students, Daniel Polish, asked the master, We are all strands of life, woven toward a shared purpose. So does that mean we could hide in one of the galaxies? Daniel looked like a trusted student. We may not always love life, but we are capable of it, and we can make ourselves unreadable to our enemies, though not invisible. Free will, on the other hand, lets us stray from the source. It's like unspooling a different skein of dark thread, only to wrap ourselves in it later. We choose a different path, so we don't get stuck. Free people dwell beyond the reach of Empton, where no light exists, but we're all caught in the same web. Truth is never random. That's why we're meeting here. The Ethernalians teach us where humanity begins, and where others like us begin too. They are a warning not to reject our calling. The guardians of the universe lead us toward unity, the Master replied. And Mary added, the crystal is the universe. Emotions are weapons. The Emptonians came between us. They sent agents after you. Lee, you were sabotaged, judged, and stripped of your honor. We endured only what we could bear, but our bond turned out to be stronger. M1 did everything he could to prevent this meeting, but you crossed the Shadow's threshold. The Ethernalians disrupted the link. To them, you're too dangerous together, said Dawa. Why didn't they end up here? Every fugitive and rebel of the universe can find asylum with us. Ambarian, Earthling, Comian, or anyone else. Daniel Polish interjected clearly on their side. They're not just anyone. Mary, you were meant to lose faith in him and devote yourself to the peace mission. And you, Lee, stripped of rank and love, were meant to run for the rest of your life. This was a trial. The Emptonians, in trying to destroy us, created Aria, a weapon turned against them. She now stands with us. It's an honor, I said. I knew Empton's secrets. I had mastered martial arts even better than Lee, watching him train on the ship. The strength of my weapon didn't lie in my intellect. It lay dormant in the sarcophagus of Noctis. Born of the void, I chose the side of humanity. That's the nature of love, to be willing to give your life for another. The Ethernalians were the Trojan horse on Earth, but I had Uria on Empton. The waterfall has turned to gold, said Dawa aloud, then addressed Mary and Lee silently. The lake has spoken. In the year 3158, 3 will rise as 1. Their sum will give rise to the 5th power, and the rest will open infinity. On day 70, 7 links of humankind will fuse and unlock the next. At hour 1.01.0, 2 androids in the service of truth will pierce the void. New Antarctica and Earth will awaken us from slumber. The ancestors inscribed on the moon chamber wall, 3158. It declares that Mary and Lee possess the crystal power to comprehend time. Guide, bring out the coin, and you, Lee, prepare the crystal you carry near your heart, said Dorji. Once, Mary had given Lee a stone to remind him of the source of all things and to lead them back to each other. Mary reached into a hidden pocket in her dress and placed the coin beside a flame that burned constantly, linking humanity to the elemental force. A quick glint of gold flickered from the coin. Mary also held the old crystal from Everest. Their stream of telepathy became clear. They had longed for each other, calling out across galaxies. Lee had hidden the coin in the collar of the husky snowflake, whom he had given to Mary and Megan. Lee and Mary were synchronizing with the universe, creating a vehicle of life. It might be the key to the sphere on Archon. The Federation couldn't know. They didn't know the legend well enough. I noticed what set me apart from humans. I was driven by findings, data, and the urge to gather research material. I emulated their selflessness and their ability to rise above individual interest. My leader, however, was carried forward by crystals, dreams, memories, and a longing for Mary, by the vision of a fulfilled mission, a pursuit of talent, and the unfolding of love. He and Mary both valued freedom, though the captain had his own theory about it. He had to be rejected in order to break free and honor his own path to truth. She had given him a life unlike anything he had known before, the kind of life he would have given his own for, if only she had asked. She longed for both stability and adventure, but more than anything, she wanted him to become fully himself. Mary, an artist and a guide on the path of women, hoped to see in him a man walking the awakened path so they could stand as equals. That moment had come. Lee had dreams and recurring signals, even from her. He remembered her tenderness and the wisdom she had once honored him with, just before she challenged him. Without it, he never would have come this far. Later, Mary looked out over the lake through the flame reaching toward the stars and said, "Fire and water, wind and earth, guide us in love." At that moment, a gust of wind swept through, igniting the sky and lifting the water into a towering wave, rising several meters high. Lee picked up the coin, removed the crystal from around his neck, and touched it to his beloved. With eyes closed, their lips and foreheads met, and in that moment, all that they were fused into a single soul, held within the vision. When they opened their eyes, the galactic fire in their pupils revealed the truth they had carried. The ceremonial master lit incense to protect the circle. "You are surrounded by a rainbow aura," Dorji said. "It is a vessel feared by all who walk the path to happiness, both those who long for it and those who seek to destroy it. This truth was once denied to you. You found each other again because it was not meant for your reunion to wait for another incarnation. It is needed by you and by the entire community that watches over you. Titania is here. Titania is us, walking the best path of life. Of all things Empton fears love the most, the kind we so often mistake for weakness. We are the reflection of the ocean's truth, rising above the foaming waves of change. The wind calls us into the depths. The body is only a signal that we long to become something greater, something expanded. But now we wish to feel our separateness, to experience all that is, and then return to oneness," Mary said with joy. "Could this not have happened years ago?" Everest asked wistfully. "You could never have foreseen what would come back from the wave of rejection," Dawa said, comforting us. "Those we push away return with double the force. It's one of life's secrets. Everything we long for departs, and everything else arrives to teach us about ourselves. In the end, what we truly are returns." "We need to flow with the river's current," Mary added tenderly. "Then all that water, wind, sun, and earth bring us will lift our spark. Harmony decides what remains. Power flows from the fact of being, not from protective armor. Let us simply be, vulnerable and safe. We chose this life, so beautiful and so hard." Then Dorji spoke. "Do we learn to levitate and meditate? Yes. Do we practice martial arts, tend gardens, swim, and study the knowledge of the awakened? Yes. But we need critical mass. Not only the Emptonians, we too on both Earths live in a simulation. It is powered by our consciousness. The entanglement of human and planetary energies is real. If more people awaken, the rebels and the Federation will stop competing, and the galaxy will have a chance to flourish. We form a crystalline network of connection throughout the universe. The legend is only as true as we are genuine." Dorji looked toward the flowering trees. "The butterflies land on us more and more often," showing us the way. They activate the energetic grid of unity. People are waking up. Even Aria is beginning to awaken. The meditation of truth is working, but we are forced to face the great void. Knowledge saddens me, yet the guardians will return. The Titanians follow in our footsteps, and though it may seem like we're falling, we must trust in the power of life. Always. Mary spoke with exaltation, smiling, though clearly troubled. She embodied the beauty of more than one galaxy, and she could see the future. Clairvoyance was commonplace here. "It's no longer a lake. It's an ocean of life," Lee said in awe. "It belongs to the Guardians. This water cools the urge to destroy. Regular baths in the waterfall grant a long and healthy life, one that extends beyond the physical. Our brothers and sisters live for hundreds of years. Among us are those who draw full strength from purified genes, but not everyone has abandoned technology. There are also telekinetics among us, supported by implants. It happens. Although we control technology, only people of the elements are entrusted with the most important tasks. Look at Mary." Dorji's final words were interrupted by a sound heralding the arrival of guests. At the garden's entrance stood 100 Federation guards, led by 2 Ethernalians. One of them we recognized from Empton, but we couldn't afford to show it. In the past, Ethernalians could linger here, but the community's power had grown so strong that outsiders could no longer endure it for long. Above us, ships began circling. Among them, one sent by Spider. Our enemy had sent his followers to their old homeland.
End of Chapter 7.
Still with me? Good, because this story isn't the only thing heating up. My time-limited NFT collection is live right now, but not for long. If you're the kind who sees value before the crowd, now's the moment. Click the link